So today's topic, as we know, is getting to know the four levels of ourself and its influence on us. So Sushma, you told me you have no idea about what the four levels of ourselves are, and you're excited to know. So anybody here in the group who has any idea about what this is? Okay,
No
anybody
idea.
who knows? No? All right, okay, great. So I think this is going to be something very new to everyone. All right, so getting to know the four levels of ourselves and its influence on us. And okay, and the real secret to creating a happy, positive life. So knowing these four levels of yourself will actually give you the secret on creating your happy and positive life. And I'm sure we all want that, right? A happy and a positive life for ourselves. I mean, there's nobody who doesn't want that in the world for themselves. So let's get on with it. This is for individuals who find that they have reached a saturation point, a crossroad, probably a hurdle that they need to resolve and move ahead. Has any one of you at any point in life reached a situation, something like this? Yeah, I'm sure you have. I have many a times. And this is also for individuals who are dealing with life challenges. And life challenges could be, any kind of, it could be phobias, it could be anxieties, it could be some kind of fears, it could be some kind of, things like addictions, like depression. So these are all life challenges that we face from time to time, especially in times like this, the COVID situation. I'm sure there are a lot of people dealing with a lot of challenges presently. And then also people who are suffering from health conditions. So today what we are going to cover is also help answer some of this. Health conditions can be, again, it could be, diabetes, it could be asthma, it could be something as simple as a joint pain, any kind of health conditions also. So you will be able to understand a little bit of this as well. And this is also for parents, because I'm sure in the group we have some parents as well. So this is also the learning will also help parents who are feeling lost, probably tired and overwhelmed with the challenges that raising a child brings with it. We know that, parenting is the most daunting job in the world today. Kept everything aside, it's not easy raising a child. And then also parents who are struggling with their behavioral, probably developmental or health issues with their children, and who internally have got a fear and nagging worry. Am I doing the right thing for my child? As parents, we have all faced this question sometime or the other. This confusion that goes on. Am I doing the right thing? This is what I should be doing, or this is what I should be doing for my child. So yeah, we do get into that space at times. So in the next 45 minutes, what are we going to cover? We will discover that the problem that you're facing is actually not the real trouble. There's something more to it. You will also learn that there is more to you than just your physical body. So this physical body that you see, you're not just limited to that. And then also some good news that the cure for your good health need not always be a trip to the doctor. You need not always pop in a pill or, inject or prick yourself. I mean, I know a time when I was so scared of injections that I just dreaded going to the doctor. So it's not necessary at all. Let me ask you, what are some of the common issues you face with yourself, and if you're a parent, with your children? So just let me know, unmute, or you can put it in the chat box. What are some of the common issues that you face with yourself or with your children? Come on, let me know, put it in the chat. What are kind of challenges or issues that you're facing with yourself or with your children? Anyone?
Shagufta, it would be the continuity issue. For example, I'm stuck onto one job. I don't get a kick to continue it for a longer time. So yeah, that's what is my challenge.
Okay, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah, I would say a similar one. And then with kids, sometimes they don't listen. Sometimes what they are trying to say, I will be like, no, that's not right. This is what is right.
Yes, yeah. And Anita says also distractions, yeah. And sometimes what else? Yes, Sushma, you were saying something more.
Sometimes it's just that, I will leave it. I will not argue, because they are sometimes to that level. Like my daughter is already going to be 13, so she'll be like, you know what, Mama? But then sometimes when I really think about it, she's right.
Yeah. Of course, so it's not, we have these kind of issues and challenges at every point in our life. And Anita also adds here that they want us to stick to our promises, that they don't do the same. So yes, from little challenges to the big ones, okay, like what Jason mentioned, and there are so many more. There's so many more. So have you been able to resolve them successfully? My next question to you. What have you done? So you know your issues, you know your challenges, okay? It could be so tiny. Sometimes even, for housewives, I know sometimes it's like, what do I cook today? Oh my God, that is a big question to them, for homemakers. And to the big, big decisions that you have to make. Okay, what next do I do with myself, with my career? So those are like, big choices, big decisions, big challenges that you have. So be it small, be it big, yeah. What have you been doing to resolve them?
We have a response from Kavya also. Fear of losing a job.
Losing your job, yes, that is also a fear. Many fears. That's just one of the fears, especially very relevant in today's time and situations. You don't know what tomorrow will bring. Yes, so that's one. Yes. What have you done to resolve them? How successful have you been at resolving these issues? Your personal issues, challenges at job, challenges in your social life, your personal life, your professional life. There's so many of them, from little ones to big ones. With your kids at home, with your spouses. Oh, you have people around them. You can't live your life without people around you. So you have challenges with them as well. So have you been able to resolve them successfully? What have you tried so far? What have you done so far? Anyone?
Very negative question. Nothing.
I think this is a question that will set you thinking. What have I done so far? Oh my God, have I really been doing anything? And have I been really able to successfully resolve my issues? All right. So let's move on. Let's see what it is. So the important thing to note here is that doing the same things will always get you the same results. And yes, this is something that we know, and something that we really, really, struggle with, because no matter how much we try doing things differently, we eventually come back to the same thing. Has it happened to any one of you? We know, I know I need to do this. I know I need to do that. Yeah. To bring that change in my life. Somehow it just doesn't happen. I keep coming back to the damn same thing. Procrastination. Yes, thank you, Sushma. Big one for everybody. A real big one for everybody. Procrastination. I know what I need to do. I just can't seem to move. Or I can't just seem to get myself going to do it. So yes, doing the same things will always get you the same results. Why do we do the same things again and again? In spite of knowing that doing this, I will be getting the same results again and again. And the question or the answer you are going to find now. All right. So let's move ahead. So coming to actually the point in today's topic is the 4 levels of the self. So whatever it is, understanding these 4 levels of the self will get you some of the answers as to what really happens, what really is going on with us, and probably will also help you understand what you need to do now to move forward. All right. So I'm excited to share the solution with you. Let's go ahead. Okay. So this is applicable, the 4 levels of the self is applicable for all members of the family. And this typically is a family unit, right? So you would have our parents, the grandparents, you would have the young individuals or the young parents, and then you have the children in the house. So they could be small little babies, they could be toddlers, they could be, young teenagers, or they could be adolescents, or they could be, young adults. So it's applicable to all members of the family. So what are the 4 levels? So here it is. So we have the 4 levels, which are the physical, the mental, the emotional, and an auric body. So we have these 4 levels, right? And we do know that to get from the current state to a desired state, we need to make some change, right? It's not going to happen automatically. Now, life is not, it doesn't come with a remote control, and we definitely are not trees. So if you want to make something, we have to do it ourselves, right? So moving from your desired state, from your current state to your desired state requires some kind of change. And the changes can be small, changes can be big, depending on what the situation is. And for any change, however small it may be, it is essential that we need to work at 4 levels for a state of harmonious and wholesome balance. It's like, on an everyday basis, it's not just enough to eat your food. You also need to, take care of, bathe your body. You also need to, keep your environment clean. So there are a couple of things that you need to do. One is not enough. It's the same thing with us also, that we have to work at all the 4 levels if you want to bring about a change, a harmonious and wholesome change to your entire self. So let's see what it is. So these are basically your 4 levels of yourself. So we have the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical. And let me go into the details of each. So the mental self is controlled by the conscious mind. Okay. So the mental self, we have a mental self, and that is in the control of the conscious mind. Then we have the emotional self, which is in control of the subconscious mind. And then we have the physical self, as in our body. The physical self is in control of the unconscious mind, and the energetic self, which is managed or what we call as the chakras. So that is the energetic self. We do know that we have energy body, right, around us, the aura around us. And that the chakras are a part of that energy self that we have. So why is this also important? All right. So let's go ahead. Now, coming to each of these in detail. Let me ask you another question. What is that part of your body or what is that organ in your body that controls you?
Mind.
The organ. Yeah, the mind, yes.
Mind.
The brain.
The brain, sorry.
The brain, yeah. So the organ is the brain, yeah? You're right. So it is the mind, definitely, which is controlling. But the thing is, a lot of people think it is the brain. Yes, it is the brain. It is the hardware that we know, right? And we all use computers, so we know that a laptop or a desktop is the hardware. But what really is running it is the software, right? Without the software, the hardware is of no use, isn't it? So the brain is the organ, which is the hardware, and the software is called the mind. So yes, Jason, you are right when you say that the part that controls us is the mind is correct, right? The brain is the organ. It's tangible part that you can see, that you can touch, you can feel, you can dissect it. But that is only the hardware. That is actually not what is controlling us. The control is actually with the software. And without the software, the brain is of no use. You can't really see it. It's just like, how you have this physical body and then you have the spirit and the soul. You take away the soul and you would just be a dead piece of meat, nothing else. So same way, you have the brain, okay, which is the organ, which controls our body true, but then there is a software that's controlling it. And that software is what we call as the mind. And the mind has got its levels, okay? So it's not one level, it's not uni-level. There are 3 levels which control the 3 selves, all right? So coming to the first one, when we come into existence. So my next question to you is, when do we come into existence? So anybody can answer me on that? When do we actually come into existence?
When we
The day
realize.
we are born.
Sorry?
Sushma,
we come into existence the day we are born.
No. So here he says, Taqiyuddin. Yeah, that's your name. Yeah, I hope I pronounced it correctly.
Yes, it's Taqiyuddin.
So he says 4 months in the womb. So in the womb is the correct answer, but not 4 months. It's even before that.
Yeah.
Okay, we come into existence at conception. All right, that is the beginning of our existence. We all have started, or we all have begun life as one single fertilized cell. Anybody who disagrees to me on this? Nobody can. Nobody can deny this. It's a fact, right? That we all come into existence with conception, and we all begin life as a single cell. Now, when we are starting life at that stage as one single cell, there is no organ formed at that time. There is no brain. There's nothing. It's just one single cell. So then what is happening there? What is controlling it? So that is the time when our unconscious mind comes into existence. So the minute conception takes place, that's where your software kind of like, boom, it comes there. So it is the unconscious mind, right? And the unconscious mind is 30 to 40% of your total mind capacity. And the function of the unconscious mind is to control your immune system and your body functions. So all your body functions, your immune system, everything is being controlled by this part, this software. This is the software, the unconscious mind that is controlling your immune system and also your body functions. So if I ask you now, Sushma, stop your nails from growing, or Anita, stop your kidneys from filtering blood. Jason, stop your lungs from oxygenating the air, kind of taking in the oxygen and throwing out the carbon dioxide. Can you do it? Can anybody stop any of these functions? No, we cannot. We just cannot. These functions are not in our control. It goes on automatically right from the time that we are conceived, and will continue till the time we breathe our last. So all these body functions, the immune system is in the control of the unconscious mind. Then going forward, roughly around 4 months, as Taqiyuddin says, that's where our subconscious mind comes into existence. All right. So that's where we are still in utero. We are still growing in the mother's womb. And this part of your mind is 50 to 60%. So 50 to 60% of the software that's actually controlling you is the subconscious mind. What is the subconscious mind? It is a memory bank that records everything. So right from the time that the subconscious mind comes into existence, which is roughly around 20 to 24 weeks, which is around 4 to 5 months in utero, this subconscious mind starts recording everything. It's like a virtual memory bank that you have, the capacity of which never depletes. Okay, as you grow older, the capacity just goes on expanding and expanding, because there's so much more now to record. Nothing ever gets deleted. You may forget it, you may not remember it, but it's all there. Even the incidences that happened when you were in your mother's womb, because as a baby inside, as a fetus inside, you're aware of your mother's emotions. You're aware of what is happening around her, because the first sense to develop is the sense of hearing. Okay, that is the first sense to develop. Babies can hear in the mother's womb. It's a proven scientific fact. And that's why also, you tell the pregnant ladies that hear good things, speak good things. Why do we say that? Because, everything is being recorded. The child is aware of everything inside the mother's womb. He can hear everything. He can record everything, whatever is happening there. And then once you're born, then of course, it's like more information that goes in there. So we have our interaction. The first point of contact, of course, would be our parents, would be our siblings, would be our grandparents, would be our uncles and aunts, would be our cousins. And then once we start going out, once we start schooling, then it would be our friends, it would be our teachers, so on and so forth. As we go through life, we interact with more and more people. And then everything that's happening, every conversation, every little thing that happens is getting stored into your subconscious mind. The other thing to note here is that it's not only what you are consciously focusing on, it's also the things that's happening in the surrounding, which goes inside your mind. So, if a baby is sitting in a room, a child is sitting in a room, or if you are sitting here right now talking to me or listening to me, but your subconscious mind is actively, scanning the environment around you. And again, whatever is going on over there is going inside. And this is especially true for very, very young children. So it's a memory bank which records everything. The next thing is that this is the seat of our emotions and our feelings, right? So this is where our emotions and our feelings reside. And it's very, very literal. So for the subconscious mind, it is not about the context. It is all about the content. And this part is very, very extremely important to understand, because this is what literally gets into your programming or your coding. Let me give you an example with this a little later. I'll give you an example what I mean for this. So whatever the information is going inside your subconscious mind, and mainly this is with till the time that you are, say, 7, 8 or 9. So that's where your major programming, it's a software, right? So there is a program to it. So your major programming is happening until the age of 8 or 9. and then it continues a little bit more until the age of like say 13, 14 till you are teenagers, and then it will continue maybe a 1 or 2% more till you become an adult. And by the time you're an adult, you're completely programmed. So now you're on autopilot 95% of the time. And that's why I said, it's very difficult for us to make these changes. We know what we need to do, but we keep coming back to the same actions, and our actions is what gives us our results. So we see that, oh my God, we are getting the same results again and again. We know what we need to do, but we find it very difficult to change it because our programming, our software is not allowing that. Now, coming back to this point of that our subconscious mind is very literal. Now, what do I mean by that? I said it only focuses on the content. It will not focus on the context. Let me give you an example. Let me give you my example. So up until a few years back, I was very scared of speaking. Okay, can you imagine that? But yes, it was the fact that I was very scared of speaking. I just couldn't speak in front of a crowd. 3 or 4 people, and more than that, I just could not speak. Forget going on stage and speaking. That was an extreme fear that I had. And in school, of course, I had this dream of becoming a schoolhouse prefect. I wanted to become a schoolhouse prefect because I was very good in academics. I was very good in participation in other things. But the only thing that I couldn't do was when it comes to speaking. And I lost a lot of opportunities in school, in college also, because of this one limitation that I had. And later on now, when I worked on myself, I realized that this was coming from my programming. When my mother, when I was a baby, or not a baby, but when I was a child, she had told me that, look, Shagufta, you should not be talking to strangers. It's not safe. Okay. Now, she had a good intention in mind for me. She only wanted me to keep me safe, right? But my subconscious mind only took the words in. It did not take the context. It did not take in the situation why that was being said. It just took in the words not to speak, all right? Very literally. And that is where, with what went into my programming, and I had trouble all these years in my life, unless I worked on it and I changed it. So the coding of life is what is our program. And the coding is what determines our beliefs, determines our behaviors, and we know that our beliefs and behaviors influence our actions, and our actions is what gives us our results, right? So it's very important to be aware of this fact. Now, the point here is that we are not in control. We are not in control at all about what is going inside, because as children, we may be walking on the roads, we may be, taking our children to the park, we may be taking them to the theaters or maybe to the mall. And if some other parent is, shouting or giving, some instructions to their children, that is also going inside. Everything is literally going inside our mind. And things playing on the television, something playing over there, that is also going inside. And like I said, we have no control of what's going inside the mind. And we also have no control of what are the bits of information and pieces which is going together to form our coding or our software. Now that is becoming our software, and we absolutely have no control over that. That is why, we cannot explain where these fears come from. So there are some people who fear water, and some people who love swimming. I mean, they make careers out of, being a sports person and swimming. They swim the English Channel, they go deep water diving, they go deep sea diving. And some people are so scared that they cannot go near the water. Some people are scared of heights. Some people are scared of closed spaces. Where are these fears coming in from? We have not put them inside, but they are coming from somewhere. So these fears, these anxieties, these beliefs that we have is all coming from the information that's gone inside, which is forming our program, our software. The other thing here is that the subconscious is also very lazy. It's a protective layer that we have. It wants good things for us, but then again, it's also very lazy. And let me explain this by another example. Okay, so addictions. In case of addiction, what really happens is cigarette addiction, or even say like sugar addiction, coffee addiction. People are addicted to these things. Comfort foods. What really happens here? So taking a common example of a cigarette, right? You feel stress, you feel a little bit of anxiety, and then somebody offers you a cigarette. And when you smoke that cigarette, there are chemicals in that cigarette that make you feel nice. Okay, it probably calms your nerves because there are chemicals that are working at the brain level. So it's calming your nerves. It's making you the anxiety go away. It's kind of relaxing you in a minute, and then the subconscious associates it. Okay, so when I'm in stress, when I'm in that situation where I'm feeling very anxious or very nervous or whatever the situation is, cigarette is what's going to make me feel nice. All right, so it really wants good things for you. Okay, but it cannot differentiate between the good and the bad. It's only concerned with emotions and feelings. It's the seat of emotions and feelings. It's not the seat of logic at all. So it's not concerned whether this thing is good for you, bad for you. We know tobacco is bad. Okay, that is not the function of the subconscious mind. The subconscious is only concerned with emotions and feelings. Am I feeling good or am I not feeling good? That's it. All right. So once it has identified something that makes us feel good, that's it. It's very lazy. It's not going to look for something else. All right. So the next time you're in that situation again where you're feeling anxious or you're feeling a little bit nervous or depressed or anxiety, that state, then the subconscious, okay, this is the state, so I need to reach for a cigarette. So then you reach for a cigarette, and then over time it becomes an addiction. Same as with food, same as with so many other things. If you can relate these things in your life, can you think of anything like this? That when I get into this thing, chocolate is a very common one again. It's something like that. I want to have a chocolate. I want to have an ice cream. I want to do this, and you feel good after doing that. Because here the subconscious is associated. Yeah, can you relate to this? Give me a yes if you can. Give me a yes. Give me a yes in chat if you can relate to something like this which has happened to you. Of course, definitely you can. Thank you so much. All right, moving on. Okay, moving on. So this is about the subconscious mind. Then when you're born, that is when your conscious mind comes into picture. All right, so when you're born, it's 9 months, you've finished your term inside in utero, and it's time for you to come into this world. So when you come into the world, that is the time when your conscious mind is actually comes into picture, but that is only 10%. Okay, so 30 to 40% is in control of your unconscious mind. 50 to 60%, which is your programming, is the subconscious mind, and conscious mind is 10%. Now, what is the conscious mind? The conscious mind is what we So the conscious mind processes 40 to 50 bits of data per second, vis-a-vis subconscious mind, which processes 11 million bits of data per second. Now, there's a huge difference here. All right, where's 40 to 50 and where's 11 million bits of data? So that's the difference between your conscious and your subconscious. The conscious is the IQ, the intelligence quotient that we know as. All right. So we do know the IQ, how bright you are, how well you can pick up things. This is related to your academics. Then the rational part, the reasoning part, the part of your mind that looks for reasons. Why is this happening? Then also the thinking part. Thoughts come here. Thoughts originate here. It's the thinking part of your mind. It is also the analytical part of your mind. The analysis. When I say analysis, I mean in very small children, the conscious mind is not developed. So it develops around the age of roughly around 4 to 5. Before that, we have a conscious mind, but it's not very well developed at all. I would say very, very less developed. And that is why it is so easy to bluff very small children. You tell them about tooth fairies, they'll believe you. You tell them about Santa Claus, they'll believe you. You put them out on the mud, they will start playing with mud. They will start playing with garbage. They cannot differentiate, because the analysis is a function of the conscious mind. We analyze, is this thing good or bad? You put them onto the road, they'll just run, onto the streets, because they're not aware of the dangers of the oncoming traffic. They cannot analyze that a moving car, fast car, could mean danger. That's a function of the conscious mind, which is not developed in very, very young children. And it only develops by the age of 5 to 7. Then this is also where your will resides. I want to do this. I want to do that. Your decision making. So what do I wear to work today? What do I have for lunch today? What do I make for dinner today? So this is where your will resides, your wants, your desires. And then this part, this white little layer between the subconscious and the conscious mind is called the critical faculty. Now this literally is like a lid, okay? It's like a lid or a filter between your conscious and subconscious mind, which protects. Now there's so much of information here inside. Can you imagine all things being recorded right from the time that you were in your mother's womb to the time you are today? You could be 20, you could be 30, you could be 47 like me. So 47 years of data stored over there in my subconscious mind, and that's a huge amount. So can you imagine all of that coming into my conscious mind? I would go berserk. I would go insane, right? So we have a filter, we have a lid that keeps all of the information inside, and consciously you can only focus on, say, about 5 to 7 to 9 things max at a time. That's the max that you can focus on, right? So all these things being in my subconscious mind, it keeps coming into my conscious awareness as and when I need it. And this is also the layer that by the time you are programmed, it doesn't allow things to come inside as adults. So even though you may know that there are certain things which are maybe good for you, maybe not good for you, it becomes very difficult for your subconscious mind to accept it because it doesn't match to your programming, which is already there. Does it make sense? So here is where your programming is. And then again, if you later on in life, when you become adult and you see or hear new things which does not match up to your beliefs or which does not match up to your programming, the filter here kind of just rejects it. And that's why it becomes so difficult to accept or to make these changes that we really, really want to at times. We just don't understand why these things are so difficult for us to do, in spite of knowing that this is something that I need to do. Yeah, I know I need to do this. I know I need to do this, but then again, I'm unable to do it because it is not matching to what is already here. So then what do I need to do? What do I need to do to make these changes? It is a program. Can you make these changes? Yes, definitely you can. You can make changes to it because like any software, what we need to do is we just need to tap into the subconscious mind and we need to make the changes into the programming that we have. And then when you make the changes there, that is where you'll start seeing different results. Right? So what do? Okay, there's a question here. So if critical part, okay, I'll come back to the questions later. You can ask me your questions later. Just hold on, keep them on record, and we'll come back to them later. So moving on, in a nutshell, this is what your software or your mind is like, okay? So you have the unconscious and you have the layer of the subconscious. There's a critical faculty there, and that's your conscious mind. So this is what is controlling your 3 levels of yourself, all right? So your unconscious mind is responsible for your physical self. Your subconscious is responsible for your emotional self. Your conscious mind is responsible for your mental self. Okay, so these are the 3 layers. And to start with, I said there are 4 layers. So what are the 4 layers? Then before we move on to the 4th one, just coming to this. So to get your desired life, you need to follow this 3-step solution. You need to scan. You need to scan in your life and see identify what is it that you really want to change. Scan for it, look for it. What is it that you want to change? Then you solve it. You remove those barriers. You make those changes so that you can now smile and get the desired results and outcomes. So what are the tools and techniques that you would use for this? So you've heard of NLP, you've heard of hypnosis, self-talk, M-braining, theta healing, EFT, access bars. These are the tools and techniques that you would use to change your programming and your coding. And once you change the programming and coding, you would see that, your actions would have changed. And once your action changes, definitely you would get different results. So if you want different results and you're finding some things which are difficult to change, these are the tools that you need to look at. So it could be NLP, it could be self-talk, it was hypnosis, M-braining, theta, EFT, access. Well, there could be many more. So I've just put a few here. Now coming to the 4th level of yourself. The 4th level, like I said, is the energetic layer or the aura as we know as, right? So we know we have an aura. We've all heard of it. And we have these chakras. And everybody, I'm sure, has heard about these 7 chakras that we have. Which are these 7 chakras? The first one is the root chakra. Then you have the sacral, you have the solar, you have the heart, the throat, the third eye, and then the crown chakra. Now, what is the function of these chakras? Let me tell you. So as a body, we need energy. We know that, right? So what is the form of energy? Can anybody tell me? What is the form of energy? Now, this is a machine. For your laptop, you need electricity for it to work. You need to charge your laptop. For your car, probably you need to put in gas, you need to put in petrol. What is the fuel? What is the fuel for your body?
Heat.
Can anybody tell me?
Heat.
Breathing. Breathing is the air, okay? Quantum.
Heat.
Sorry?
Is it heat? Heat.
Heat, where does heat come from? So I'm asking, what is the energy? Like, what is the fuel for your body? What is the fuel for your body? Quantum is one thing. Yes, quantum is one thing. What is ATP? Sakyuddin, can you tell me what is ATP? What do you mean by ATP? I'm not very sure what that abbreviation means. Okay, so glucose is one, food is one, oxygen, prana is okay. Yeah, food, yes, definitely. So there are 5 types of adenosine triphosphate. Okay, yeah, so it's kind of a I'm not sure what it is. I'm not medically not very familiar with these terms, right? So 5 types of energy that our body needs. All right, 5 types for our body to function at its optimum best. Food is one energy. You said food, glucose, so all that comes into food, and I'm sure adenosine triphosphate would also be some mineral or something that we get through our food. Is that so, Sakyuddin? If yes, then please let me know. So ATP would also be some kind of a micro element or a micronutrient that probably we get in from our food that we intake. Food is one energy. Water is one energy. Then there is sunlight. Okay, we also get our energy from sunlight. We know that vitamin D is what we get from sunlight, which is very important. Sunlight is the source of vitamin D for our body. Then there is the ground energy. It's called the ground energy. And we do know that when we walk barefoot on the sand, when we walk barefoot in nature, we feel very, very nice, okay? Because our body is drawing in energy from the earth. So you walk barefoot on the ground, you walk barefoot on sand and all, you feel really, really nice. Water is, yes, of course, one. So I said food, I said water, I said there's sunlight, there's ground energy, and there is the 5th energy, which we call as the universal life force energy. Breathing air is, I wouldn't call it the fuel. Yes, you require the air to live, but then there's something also called as the universal life force energy. This there around us. Now, how do we take in the universal life force energy? We take in the universal life force energy through our chakras, right? So we are drawing in the universal life force energy through our chakras. The function of our chakras is to draw in that energy from the environment. So it's taking in the energy from our environment and it is supplying to different organs. So these chakras are linked to certain organs internally, and they draw in the energy and they supply the energy to these organs. So these 5 energies are required for our body to be performing at its optimum best. Now, sometimes what happens is food, of course, is in our control. What kind of foods are you taking in? Are you taking in healthy stuff? Are you taking in junk food? Are you taking in organic matter? So food is again in our control. What kind of food you want to eat? You want to eat vegan? You want to eat only vegetarian? You want to eat non-vegetarian? It's all in your control. Water, what we have, the packaged water is, I'm sorry to say, but it's all dead water. Water, the right water is the mineral or the spring water that we have. I think there are 7 sources of natural spring waters in the world, which has traces of elements in it, and that's why that water tastes also a little different. All the other waters that we get packaged in bottles is really distilled water. It's all dead water. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't have those trace elements in it. Sunlight, of course, we know morning sunlight is the best. That's why we are told by ancient wisdom, this is ancient wisdom, wake up early, go out for walks, be out in nature in the early morning, because that's the early morning rays of the sun that is very good and beneficial for you. Walking on the ground, we know. Solar, like the chakras, coming to the chakras now, sometimes these chakras get blocked. They get blocked because it could get blocked with our emotions. It could get blocked because we've not cleansed it. Not many people are aware about the cleansing of the chakras. So you need to clean your chakras also. And once you clean your chakras, once you open up the chakras are then able to source in this universal life force energy and also supply the energy to your different parts of your body. Sometimes when you have these aches and pains in your body, there are two reasons for it. The two reasons are, it could be an emotional block inside. Okay, there's something over there that's causing these aches and pains and these ailments. Diabetes can be for two reasons. One, it is because of the food or the lifestyle that you have. A lot of time, diabetes is also linked to stress. We know that. They say diabetes because of stress. Now, stress is again an emotion. If you don't really deal with it, with what is causing it, it kind of, causes these ailments. Cancer is definitely, a lifestyle disease. Cancer is something which can be avoided. What really is cancer? What really causes cancer is that we've not dealt with those emotions. These are all blocked emotions in your body that is causing these ailments. Arthritis, joint pains, a lot of diseases in our bodies actually linked to all these emotions that are blocked in your body, which have not been released. And once you work on that level, you will see that all these aches and pains, our body is not supposed to have this, except for the natural aging progression. Our body is supposed to be healthy. It's only we who block our emotions, who don't deal with it on time, or maybe our chakras are blocked. We are not supplying the right amount of energy to these organs to function at its best. So we will notice that if you clean your energies, if you clean your chakra, then you're supplying the right amount of energy to those organs. Those aches and pains will go away. When you deal with your emotions, you will see that you will not have these cancers, these arthritis, diabetes, these weight issues. Weight issues can also be sometimes. And there are people who say, I don't eat much, but still I'm putting on so much of weight. I don't understand why this is happening. This is happening because it's linked. There's an emotional hook there, which you've not dealt with, which causes this weight gain. And once you work on those levels, on these 4 levels of yourself, you will find that you don't have those things anymore. Like I said, our body, is a piece of marvel. It's a miraculous wonder, Except for natural aging, you're not supposed to have all of these modern, what we know as, except if, of course, you've hurt yourself physically, if you've had a kind of an accident or you've hurt yourself physically, and that also your body is capable of healing itself. If you cut yourself, the body self-heals. If you have a fracture, it takes some time, but the bones, rejoin, they heal themselves. Our body has that capacity of healing itself, right? But then it needs the right kind of and the right amount of energy supply. It needs to be worked at all these 4 that I've explained on these 4 chakras. What do? We use all these kind of tools to clean the energy now. I spoke about the 3 levels, and now these are the tools that where the worker will supply energy to the person. You know this, pranic healing, right? Where the body serves as a channel, as a medium to source the universal life force energy, and then you're supplying that energy to the person you're working with. There is also sound healing, we know. So sound healing is the sound wave. Sound is also energy. We know that. Yeah, this is physics. So with these Tibetan bowls, we create the sound, and using this sound, you would clear the energy of a person. It's very, very relaxing. You can, if you've not tried it, I definitely recommend one session of sound healing with somebody. Then there are crystals and gems also. We also know that these are natural earth elements. There are different kinds of crystals, and they all have some energy to them. So you can use these crystals also to clear your energies in whatever ways. And then the latest one is AFT quantum healing. Now, what is AFT quantum healing? What you see here is a quantum energy healing kit. It uses the the age-old concept of Reiki and pranic healing. So it's using the science or the ancient wisdom or the ancient knowledge of Reiki and pranic healing combined with the technology of science. So here, as you see the person supplying the energy, in AFT, you're not using the person's hand or you're not using the person as a medium to channel the energy, but you would use a tool called as the AM wand. If you see here, this is an AM wand. I have mine, but I've kept it there. So this is the AM wand, which is designed to source the universal life force energy and supply it to the body. So what you need to do is you need to use the AM wanding to supply the energy, and you're not using your body as a channel, which is a lot safer, because when the person is working, you don't know what state that person is. You don't know if their energy is clean or not, or how clean their energy is. So you're not using the body to channel the energy, but you're using a tool to channel and source the universal life force energy, and then you're cleaning the person's energy with this tool. So this is how you work at the energy level. Then what you really need to remember really is that this is not a 2-minute quick fix instant solution. So all these levels that I've spoken about, it's not something that's going to happen in a tool. It's not noodles. So you cannot fix it in 2 minutes. Yeah. So it takes a little time to work on this, to understand this. And again, you need to work at all 4 levels consistently. So you have the 4 levels of the self, which is physical, which is emotional, mental, and energetic. Yeah. Be patient and be consistent. Then this is not a one-size-fits-all kind of a remedy again, because not all of our challenges are similar. Not all of our situations are similar, and also not our programming is similar. We each are unique individuals, with each one having a unique programming. So it is not one thing that will fit all. It has to be done. So if you're working at the subconscious levels, it needs to be done differently for different people. It's not that one thing will do work with everybody. Also, it is not a DIY technique that comes with a manual. It's always better that you work with a professional, because they are trained in these modalities to be able to help you, right? So it's not something that you can read and do it on yourself. Not that it's doable. Maybe it is for some people, but then again, it's always better that you work with somebody who knows these techniques, who know how to help you to get quick, fast results. And then you must be committed, like how Sushma said, be patient, be committed, be consistent on working yourself to create your happy and positive life. Definitely possible. I've turned my life around. There are thousands and millions of people who have turned their life around, just being aware of what is it that they need to change. They go there, they change that, they change their actions. Once they change their actions, definitely they start seeing different kind of results. So this was about it, and now I'm ready for your question and answers. So unmute whoever wants to ask, and I'm ready to answer you. Taqiyuddin, I think you had a question earlier, so can you unmute?
Taki, you must have received the prompt to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Anybody else who has questions? Probably he's...
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey Taki, how are you?
Anybody else who has any questions?
I think he's not in range. Something happened.
Yeah, probably. But we can definitely take his question.
Can you hear? No, we cannot. You can put it in chat, Taqiyuddin, if you cannot, if you're having problem with your audio. Can you put your question in chat? Anybody else who has a question in the meantime that I can answer while he puts in his question?
Yeah, Shagufta, just one quick question. About opening up the channel from subconscious mind to unconscious mind. Okay, you mentioned one filter was there, right?
The critical faculty.
Yeah, the critical faculty. So how successful it is if we are trying to identify the gap to be more lesser? Like, is it possible, the lesser gap possible? Is there any possibility? so that we can.
I didn't quite get your question, Jason. Can you just
the critical faculty gap which you mentioned between the subconscious mind and
the conscious, yeah,
and the conscious mind. Okay,
yeah.
so that gap is a permanent gap, or is it like a fixable gap? We can reduce the gap.
It's not a gap. It's, first of all, it's not a gap. It's like a filter. It's like a lid, I would say. Like I said, it's a protective covering. Okay, it's a lid which is keeping all the information inside. Now see, there is millions of bits of data already inside your subconscious mind. Okay, so that lid is important. Otherwise, you know, you would go insane if all of that information were to come inside. Yeah. So that is a kind of a lid which is a protective layer also. Okay, the thing is, it is bypassable. You can bypass it and you can get inside your subconscious mind. So when you use techniques like hypnosis, that is what hypnotherapists do. They kind of, you know, move aside, or they kind of bypass that layer to get inside your subconscious mind.
Okay.
Yeah. So we all have that layer. The critical faculty is there. All right. And then you only need to bypass it to get inside your subconscious mind. It is not well developed in cases of small children. So in cases of very small children, literally everything is going inside the subconscious mind. That is why, you know, they learn things so easily and they're so easily influential. We say, right, that those are the foundational years of a child. Why do we call it, it's called the foundational years? Because literally everything is going inside. They are very, very impressionable at that age. You know, everything literally is going inside the subconscious mind. And by the time you're an adult, that's when it's really in place. Okay, so you need to bypass it.
Yeah, I think Takyuddin also is relating to this. How is the intactness of critical faculty? How we can work on it? That was a question from Takyuddin.
So, yes. So, it is there. So to work on it, you don't really need to work on the critical faculty. There's nothing that you can work on the critical faculty. It's there. It's like a lid, okay? What you need to work on is at the subconscious level. You really need to work on the subconscious level to change your programming. So it is not about working at the critical faculty. It is about working at the level of the subconscious mind. The conscious mind is the activities so you can sharpen your memory, you can sharpen your activities. So all things related to learning is with the conscious mind. Okay, so those are learned activities, right? And just like how you go to the gym to to strengthen your muscles, your body muscles. So if you do exercises, your brain exercises, you have so many brain exercises. Neuronation.com is one site where they have brain activities. So it's like exercising your conscious mind. You know, you're building up, you're sharpening up your mind. So that is the function of the conscious. Okay, you do have a lot of brain activities to do. For children also, they have so many, brain gym. There are things like, so neuronation.com is a site where you have these lot of activities. Lumosity.com is another one. Lumosity.com, great activities to sharpen the conscious mind. Okay, those are the skills that you develop. You kind of gymming your mind. But literally, if you want to change your beliefs, you want to change your behaviors, you want to change your programming, you have to work at the subconscious level. And it is not working on the critical faculties. It's there. You just need to bypass it and get into your subconscious mind to make those changes. Okay. And that's where sometimes you need, to go to have a session. It may not be easy for everybody to work on themselves.
Yeah. Another question we have from Subhash: is there any best mental exercise to explore more the power of subconscious mind?
So mental exercise is only for your conscious mind. It is not for your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind does not understand all these things. It only understands two things: emotions and feelings. That's it. Okay. So mental exercise to explore, yes, it is there. Neuronation.com, Lumosity.com are two I know which I use, good ones. There are many more that you can explore on the internet, but these two I've used it personally, and it's for doing a lot of brain exercises, and that works at the conscious mind. It doesn't work at the subconscious mind. One exercise, if I tell you that consciously you can practice on the subconscious mind, is the self-talk. You know, how you're talking to yourself, that you're doing consciously, right? That is something that you're doing consciously, but that is again in a way working at the subconscious level. So if there's one technique that you can use consciously for yourself is the self-talk. How are you talking to yourself on a day-to-day basis? And talking is not only just verbally, it's also the thoughts that you have. Remember, the conscious mind is also the seat of our thoughts, it's the thinking mind. So the thoughts originate there. So you need to be careful of what you're thinking. All right, change your thoughts and you can change your life. They say that, right? Yeah. So thoughts are consciously thinking of those. So these are some of the things that you can be consciously aware of. NLP uses this. NLP is also in a way where you are, what is NLP? Neuro-linguistic programming, where you are programming your your mind, using language as a medium. Yeah. So NLP and self-talk are two things that you can use consciously to make changes at the subconscious level. And this, of course, takes time, over a period of time, consistently. You can change the programming. So hypnosis is very fast. Hypnosis is where you get inside the subconscious mind and you make the change quickly. All right. So that happens in 1 or 2 sessions, maybe even 1 session. I've worked with people where changes have happened in 1 session only, right? But NLP and self-talk does work at the subconscious level, but it takes a little time. You need to be consistent with it. Yeah, have I answered that?
I hope so. Yeah. We didn't get any other questions. But Shagufta, just one quick question from my side. Did you have any experience working with any autistic child? Because
Yes.
yeah, because I think the 4 levels of ourself can be implemented on an autistic child to raise some level of consciousness.
Yes. So with autistic children, I'm working a lot with autistic children also, and I'm using a program called the Sleep Talk with them. All right. Now with autistic children, the good part is that there's no damage to the hardware. There's no brain damage there. The only thing that's gone wrong with autistic children is at the level of the unconscious mind and at the level of the subconscious mind. So I can say there's like a virus attack or there's like a bug, okay, that you need to fix. So the thing very common with autistic children, the characteristic is all of them have speech delays, speech issues. They don't have speech. They don't have functional speech. So maybe they have 1 or 2 words or few words that they can say. They cannot express themselves and they cannot have conversation, right? And the ASD is also it's on the spectrum, so not everybody. So it may be just mild, it may be moderate, or it may be an extreme on the spectrum. The child may be, and if the child is extreme on the spectrum, he will not be able to make words also, he just blabbers. Now speeches, they also have a lot of sensory issues. All that is coming from the subconscious mind. All right, so that's a bug that we need to fix at the subconscious level. Now to do a session with autistic children, hypnosis, it's very difficult to make them sit in one place. That's the problem with these kind of therapy. Now, when we talk of therapies, occupational therapy, take speech therapy, that's where the therapist is working with the child in the conscious level of the state, right? It's only working at the conscious level. It's not working where the problem is. They make them sit in one. It's that bad, right? There's a mix of emotions. They don't know how to express themselves. Emotions and feelings is a function of the subconscious mind. They're confused. They don't know. But there is a solution. It's called the sleep talk process. And the best part is with the sleep talk is that it's not a therapy. It's not medicinal. don't need any medicines. It's very easy. It just takes 3 to 5 minutes of the parents' time daily that the parents would work with the child. So I teach the parents what they need to do with the child. And then the bond between the parents and the child also becomes very strong, because for a child, the parents are the primary influencers. They are the primary caretakers. And whatever the mother and the father talk to the child is very readily accepted by the child's mind. Okay. So it works very well for small children between the age of 0 to the age of 13, 14. So you can definitely work with autistic children also. What about hyperactivity in kids? How to channelize them or any guidance? Now, hyperactivity, Sakyudin, thank you for your question. Hyperactivity is also a function of the subconscious mind. It's what is hyperactivity? And a lot of anxiety there. That's why they get hyperactive. They cannot deal with their emotions. They cannot deal with their feelings. Again, like I said, it's like a bug, something at the subconscious level. There's definitely ways that you can, relax. There's an internal fear. There's something iceberg. You've seen an ice surface. 90% of the iceberg is below the surface of the water. What you see, the behaviors. Hyperactivity is a behavior. Is what you're seeing. So you need to address the scene. Only the mind understands what's happening there, why causing those behaviors. So definitely, so any issues in case of children, it could be hyperactivity, it could be sucking, they have potty failure, separation anxiety, the sibling rivalry, all of this is happening. The initial stages definitely can be worked on. Stammering also, yes, even stammering. Stammering is again sometimes the subconscious something that's causing them to stammer. Something that's causing, it could be a fear which they're not aware of. It could be an anxiety that they're not aware of. So working at those levels cures it. So when you cure what is causing it now, automatically the stammering goes away. So stammering, everything is the external behaviors that you're seeing over the surface. You need to work under the surface to clear all of this. Yeah, can be done, definitely. What else? Any more questions?
I ask I was just thinking, and I got it in my mind. How do we differentiate between self concept and self complexity, Shagufta? Can you throw some light?
Sorry.
Self concept and self complexity.
Self concept and self complexity. Can you give me an example? Because these are like terms which would mean different things to different people. Okay, again, these terms mean different things to different people. So can you give me an example?
I am talking in terms with kids, as a parent with kids.
Okay, so as I see it, in my opinion, okay, self complexity, are you meaning things that make me feel that? Is that what you mean?
Yes, you can take it that way, or the kid as well.
Yeah, so there are things that confuse me. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
And self-concept would be my identity.
Okay. And that kid.
Between the parents and the kid.
Yes.
So give me one example. Just give me one situation. I'll explain this.
Okay. I will take the example. So if as a parent, I would say, okay, I'll do this. Then you have to do, but then the kid.
Now, important thing to understand, Sushma, is that, this the parenting is sometimes more about the giving situation that you're telling me. It's more about controlling the child. Okay, you do this and then I will do this. You're putting a condition there. You're putting a condition there for the child. Okay, and that is something which is not acceptable to anybody. Nobody likes conditions on themselves, be it a small child or be it an adult. Okay. And we as parents sometimes forget this, that in time to be the parent, we forget that that is an individual also with their own essence. Okay. So that is something which, we as parents sometimes forget. And this is something that I teach parents. When I do the conscious parenting, I cover the 6 myths, I cover the 6 shifts, and I cover the 6 skills that a parent needs to know, that, especially for the parent, they need to know, understand these things very well. So what you're telling me is a conditional thing, which doesn't work. There's always going to be a conflict over there. Because as an individual, no matter if it's a child, but it's something like this, that we are not a body having a soul, but we are a soul having a physical experience. All right. The soul of the child is always at the same level. So the soul is there. It doesn't have an age. It's the soul. Okay. It's just the body that goes through ages, small, big, and then the old. Okay. So that is what it is. And what we forget is we are not connecting. The soul knows. The soul doesn't like conditions. The soul doesn't like those things. The soul understands. Even if the child is small, the soul understands these things. And that's why even with small children, we sometimes as parents have these tiffs coming up. Because we are not addressing the soul of the child. We are only addressing the child. We are trying to control the child. We are trying to be the parent over there, not realizing that there's a soul there that understands these things, no matter even if it's a child of 5 years. You get that?
Yes, and they definitely come back to us,
Yes.
Like say, for example, if I'm telling them something, okay, don't shout. And in case if I raise my voice, she'll come back to me. Even my younger one, who is going to be 7, she'll be like, why are you shouting?
Exactly. Exactly. It is. So, as parents, we need to be aware of a lot of things to be able to parent them properly. And again, we need to understand this, where to draw the line, because we cannot be yes, yes, yes to everything, to what they say. Because then again, then parents, okay, then what is our role? If everything is okay with each other, then what are we supposed to do as parents, what is our role exactly? So this is a thing that you need to understand. So where you need to actually let go and when you need to actually pull the reins is something that you really need to learn. Yeah.
Shagufta, there is one request from Miss Kavita Paloti that please let me know when you're doing parenting sessions. I'm a new mom. I love your session. Your session is very informative and amazing session. So just request Kavita to connect with Shagufta directly.
Thanks, Kavita. Yeah, I'm planning one very soon though. I'll let you know.
We'll wrap this session, Sushma.
Yes, I don't see any more questions.
Yeah, great.
Shagufta,
so no more questions.
Sorry.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, if you have any questions, you can direct.
I just want to ask something. Shagufta, how did you feel about the session?
Oh, I loved it. I always love sharing what I know. I think, even if I can touch, like I said, right in the beginning, you said, I'm very passionate about people and change. Yeah. So even if I feel, I can touch one life with whatever I have to share, I think I'm very, very happy with it. I love sharing what I know, because personally in my life also, I've gone through a lot of challenges myself. And, I had to learn all this myself. So if I can share something that I know, at least letting people know, and even if one person can benefit from it, I think I'm very, very happy. Very, very
you
happy.
Are already successful. You're already successful. We had 16 people. Yeah, and one person already, Kavita, she already wants to talk to you in detail.
So also I would love like to thank Sushma and Jason for giving me the opportunity, to coming and connecting with these people.
Thank you, Shagufta. It's an honor for us to host you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, dear. And thanks to everybody for being here on this session, joining me and as well.
Thank you so much, everybody.
All right.
Okay.
Let's wrap up the session.
All right. This is my website and this is my Insta handle, just in case anybody wants to connect.
Yeah, that's great. Yes. So guys, please take note of the the slide which Shagufta is sharing, which is very important. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I can add my number also over here. So if anybody.
See, that would be great.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so nice of you, Shagufta.
So it's 0565774075. Yeah. So make note of this, and if just in case anybody needs it. All right, done.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
you
you,
so
everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Take care. Take care. Bye-bye.